Hello and welcome to Take Me Through Your Day. On this episode, we have an old friend of mine. I've known him for a very long time. Uh, in the episode, I think we said we worked together in '99. I think it'd be more accurate to say it was around 2000 or 2001. That really doesn't matter. But he is a DJ and a professional master of ceremonies. He's a really good guy and he's got great stories. So much that I had to split this episode in two. He does a lot more than DJ, so I'm gonna reconnect with him later and finish up the another probably 45 minutes to an hour of interview with him about non-DJ related things. But regardless, this is very informative if this is something that you want to get into. So I really hope you enjoy it. And as per usual, if you or someone you know would like to be on the show, we can be reached at TakeMeTYD on all social media and TakeMeTYD@gmail.com. Enjoy the show. What do you do? What's your job title?
Well, I guess the best description for that would be entrepreneur, self-employed entrepreneur.
Okay.
Because I do several things.
Well, let's just say if you met someone at a party and you're just trying to make small talk, what do you do?
Well, here's what I actually say.
Okay.
This is what I actually say. I tell people right now that I make most of my money as a DJ.
Well, start there. I mean, that's where I met you. You
Sure.
were just a great, like the best wedding MC I've ever seen. You really work a room. And not in that pushy kind of like just getting people who don't want to dance up. Just really getting the room whipped up.
Sure.
It's very exciting. But so let's go to, say, when you were in high school. Did you know kind of what you wanted to do?
No. But I always had a love of music, though.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that all started. Actually, in my family, we have music being our background. So my cousin was a part of a group called the Fifth Dimension. This is back in the 60s and 70s. He was part of that group, and my mom was always singing around the house. She always put on records. This is how old I am. So we were putting on records on the family record player, which looks like a piece of furniture, you know.
Yeah.
So she'd sing and dance, and we would do it too.
Yeah.
And then my dad got some headphones, I guess because he got tired of us hearing us doing it all the time. So we put on these headphones, big, looked like air traffic controller headphone type things. Yeah. And we plug in, my mom would sing and dance to that, so we couldn't hear the extra music. You just hear her screaming and yelling over there. Yeah. And I started doing the same thing. So that was back when I was 7th, 8th grade, doing that.
Yeah.
You know, doing the headphones, singing and dancing. And then when I'd always go to the school dances. Yeah. So I loved going to the school dances, and I was a pretty decent dancer, so I would get out there and dance. And then when I could actually start hitting the clubs, it was game on, boy. I tell you, I was at the club every week. I was going to the club Friday, Saturday, and I wasn't even a drinker. I just go out there for the music and the dancing.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Hammer had nothing on me. Let me tell you right now. But so that's how I started, getting involved with that aspect of it. Rewind a little bit. One time, because this is when I was in the 8th grade, this is when I lived in Washington State before I moved to Pittsburgh. One of my English teachers, I guess he saw me at a dance one time or whatever, and he saw me singing down the hall, I think, whatever. And he said, "You know what? You're going to be a DJ for our 8th grade dance this coming whatever." Huh. What? I had no experience at all. I didn't even have any. I had records, my own records, but I didn't know anything. So I did that. And that's kind of how I ended up DJing for Metro Mix, which is, I was at Hula Hands in Monroeville, which is now gone, but Hula Hands in Monroeville, and I knew, you remember DJ Aaliyah, his name. He was.
Yeah.
He was the DJ at Hula Hands, and I knew him because of being a DJ, and he was a clubber too, and he's actually a pretty good dancer. But I was at Hula Hands that night, and he goes, "You want to come work with us?" Where do you work? Oh, Metro Mix. Or actually, what Event 123 back then.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, back then before it was Metro, before it was Event 123, it was Party 123.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
It was Party 123, and then somehow it conflicted with somebody else had that name already, so they changed it to Event 123. And so I was okay. I could do that. So that was on a Friday night. Saturday, I actually went to their old office, the one in Monroeville.
Yeah.
That's where I went, and they interviewed me, and they hired me, and that was the beginning of that. Was in probably Aprilish of 1998, and I did my first wedding. It was like the year anniversary of my wedding. I got married May 17th of 1997, and the first wedding that I did for Metro Mix or Event 123 was May 16th, whatever, almost a year anniversary of the next year. Was my first wedding. I did it in Penn Hills.
Yeah.
And so all the things that I did on the dance floor, you saw me do. You've seen me do that's what I used to do at the club.
I was say, like, if you started in '98, I think I started there in '99. So
Yeah.
you were already seasoned pro to me. I was like, look at that guy. He's been doing this for a million years, I bet.
I was doing it for, at that point, not even, maybe not quite a year.
Yeah.
But all I was doing was what I did on the dance floor when I was in the clubs. Because I didn't know nobody told me how to do it.
Yeah.
So I just said, oh, you going to pay me for this? So they handed me a microphone.
Yeah.
They said, because when I started with Metro Mix, I was just the party motivator.
Yeah.
They gave me the microphone. They said, make them dance. I said, well, I can do that. That's just going out there and doing my thing. And I get out there, and they did the music mixing. I didn't know the equipment yet. And then they did all the MC stuff. And then when it was time to dance, they gave me the mic, and I said, let's do this. And I got them, and that's how I got people on the dance floor. I didn't care. I'd go out there by myself if I had to.
Yeah.
It was the song was good. Cripes,
I've seen you do it, and you did an insane job of getting those people together.
It's so funny because that's how, to this day, that's how I get my clients. Because I have a Facebook, DJ Dolla Bill. I'm DJ Dolla Bill now, just so you know. And that happened about 12 years ago now, almost 12 years ago, where my name changed. It was when I started first into a club. When they started putting me in a club, which was in 2000, I went to the Deck House in Cranberry. That's where they put me first, and that was good because I was able to build up. They finally settled to put me on a Thursday night, and then Thursday night eventually became, for a little while at least, their biggest night of the week.
Yeah.
Oh man, we had so much fun, but it was like it got to the point where they started charging at the door to come into to the Deck House in Cranberry. But back then, they said when they booked me for that, it was Metro Mix that did that. They said, "Well, what's his name?" Bill.
Yeah.
So back then I was just DJ Bill.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then I was there, on and off for about 6 or 7 years up there. And then I eventually left Metro Mix in 2004 actually, and then went on my own. And in 2007, I was down North Shore, and McFadden's had just opened, and I got into McFadden's, and I was DJing down there a little bit. And then one guy who knew me from the Deck House a couple years earlier, he said something about DJ Dolla Bill. I'm like, hey,
Yeah. All right.
I'm stealing that one. And that was since 2007. It's been DJ Dolla Bill. So, and it's funny, every once in a while I come across people, they'll know me from the Deck House. They'll say, are you DJ Bill? Yes, and I know you from now because the only people from Deck House call me DJ Bill. But so anyway, that's how it got started. I always had the love for music, and I always loved going out there and just having fun and dancing. And people liked, in my opinion at least, at a party situation, people like to have fun. And sometimes they need a little encouragement, and a lot of times that encouragement is just somebody get out there and do it first.
Exactly.
And they'll join you. And I said, okay, I can do that. And that's how I got started. And to this day, I get gigs. Like I said, I don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth. And because of that, I guess an update on where I am now is that has landed me my gig for being the unofficial DJ for UPMC.
Okay.
So how
I mean, that's a pretty sweet.
now
gig, I
here,
guess.
well, yeah, here's how that worked. It was a friend of mine knows me from DJing, and actually he was my vice president when I was the president of the national nonprofit. He was my vice president, but he also worked at UPMC, and he goes, UPMC was doing these employee appreciation days over the course of the summer.
Yeah, I think I remember this.
So they brought in a DJ, and we said you ought to come in there. I was like, okay, well, so he arranged for me to be there for one of the days, and I did what I do. I played the music. I'm out there dancing and getting them to try to get them. It was funny to get the doctors, and then I get some from the doctors. So, and so we've been having fun and everything, and then because they had me and another DJ, but they saw me and then they just booked me off almost after that. I was the one they booked.
Yeah.
So that was about 2 years ago, 3 years. Wait, this is 2019 now. So this is 2016, I guess. I started doing this. 2017, 2018. Anyway, so yeah, so now and during the summer, last summer 2018, they booked me like 13 times.
Wow.
Over the
course of a summer?
Over the course of a summer, because I would cover Shady Side Hospital, Presby, and then Whippick, which is Western Side. Their staff. Yeah. And they booked me from April to August, basically, and over that course of that time frame, or September, and then they would book me, over the course of the summer. And then when Christmas came around, I did, I think, 5 Christmas parties for them.
Yeah.
So I just did the last party I did for them that was related to the holidays. It was last week.
Yeah.
It was, sometimes people do these things way after the holidays.
Yeah.
I was there a week ago this Friday. I was there the week ago. Shady Side.
Yeah, in February.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
So,
It was February. Man, we had some fun though, boy. We had them doctors. The head doctor got up there and started I got him to do the wobble. It was a wobble with the Cupid shuffle.
Yeah. All right, good times.
Yeah, man.
See, now usually this is where I go into like the structure of your day, but I mean, it's such a different kind of job.
Yeah.
So, is there any kind of regularity in
well,
what you do?
yeah, but you have to set it up.
Well, yeah. I mean,
in other words, it's not like the 9 to 5 where it's dictated by what time you have to be at the job and so on and so forth. For me, where I go is either what I set up or my wife sets up for me. So my day basically is, I wake up, I set my alarm. I say every day. I make sure that I do that. What time I set it for varies because I'm a night person by nature, and being in the club and doing so on and so forth, I'm used to being up till my night doesn't end until. I don't, at least I don't stop playing music until 2:00 typically. Yeah. And then by the time I get out of there, it's closer to 3:30. Yeah. And then I get home. I go out and get something to eat, and then get home. Many times that's not until 4, and I don't go to bed right away. Yeah. So typically, my typical cycle is, I go to bed between 4 and 6-ish a.m.
Okay.
And I try to get up anywhere between. If I go to bed at 4, I'll try to get up by 9:30 or 10. And then, from there, I try to give myself between 5 and 6 hours of sleep. And then during the night when I get home, or if I'm not DJing that night, I work on other things. Like if I have a wedding coming up, I'll make sure I have all the music for that and stuff like that. But if I already got that done, I'll work on the other stuff for my other company.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of it a little bit.
Sure.
So it's very different working for Metro Mix. They have the equipment, all that stuff like this. Mm-hmm. You decide to go solo. Mm-hmm. What kind of equipment are you getting? What did you have in mind, and what did you get when you started? So initially,
the reason why what caused me to go solo is I met this guy, a friend of mine now. He owned an equipment company, a sound and light company. Yeah. And we started talking. We became friends. And I told him what I was doing, Metro Mix, and he said, if you ever wanted to go off and do your own gigs, I can provide you with the equipment. And he would. I mean, Metro Mix always supplied the equipment, but if you remember, Metro Mix, they get way more money than you got.
Yes.
And And finally, I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
And so I got my first gig in 2004 at Roma's Pizza Roma of all places up in North Hills,
Yeah.
off of Babcock.
Mhm.
That's where I first. That's where I did my first gig away from Metro Mix. And at the time, so I didn't own any of my own equipment. I just had my own music.
Yeah.
But he said that's fine, and then I just rented the music from equipment from him. And basically, over the course of let's say a couple years or so, I ended up buying my own coffin. So which had the two dual CD players, the mixer.
You remember what they were? Just because I know there's some
No, let me think.
music nerds that are
They
listening
were.
that
They
wanna know
were.
the
Let me think.
specifics.
I still have the coffin. It's still at home. Was it? Let me think. It hasn't been. I think it was a Newmark.
Yeah, they were the ones that did
Newmark's
the
dual
the
CD
CDs
player in there.
real nice first.
Dual CD player, Newmark's, along with a Newmark mixer, in my coffin. And then I would, at the time, I was just at that time I was renting only the speakers and the wires from. But then after a while of doing, and then I did. That was the first equipment that I ever bought. Okay, that was around for that coffin. It came in with a complete. It was used, by the way. It was a used system, and it also had the ability to. It had a kind of. It was different in a way from the regular Newmarks because it also had a hard drive.
Oh, okay.
So I can either run off CDs or I can run off a hard drive.
What year was this? Just so I can. I'm trying
This
to picture
this was about. I bought that system in say 2008 or 9, around there.
And it was used because I'm just trying to think because there was a whole era of like iPod compatible things and such a big
exactly.
headache.
So and so that's my first system that I ever bought for myself. And the reason why I bought it is because I had the hard drive. I didn't connect to the internet or anything like that. It was just a hard drive.
Yeah.
But I can load music onto that hard drive, so I can run off CD or hard drive. Now, but here's the kicker. Part of it, when I didn't realize at the time when I bought it, the one CD player side didn't work.
Yeah.
But no real big deal because I could drive off the hard drive. So it was the same effect. I can do both sides. Just one was on the hard drive, other was a CD player, or it can be both CD or hard drive. But anyway, that was for my first system, and then I went from that to laptop.
Yeah.
And I got myself an HP laptop. I know everybody uses Apple, but I couldn't afford an Apple at that time. I don't. To this day, I don't use Apple. I use still HP.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Apple products.
Okay.
I always like it when people are like, no, I don't do that. Good. I'm glad you don't do that.
So I used HP in my first laptop, and then the DJ software that I used was Virtual DJ.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. And to this day, I still use Virtual DJ. So
really, is it still?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do they still make new versions of it? Or
Oh
is it
yeah.
Just the one you...
No. They still make real. They make new versions of it. And it also gives you the opportunity to. Virtual DJ gives you the opportunity to. I'm sure Serato does the same thing, but Virtual DJ gives you. You can subscribe to a service where you can have access to their library of music. Like millions of songs. And for I pay like $10 a month for that service. But you can also pay for the service that gives you access to their video library, so you can do videos.
Oh, okay.
And they also have a service you can pay for that gives you access to all their karaoke libraries, so you can run karaoke as well.
All right.
So I don't need those two other services right now, but I do the other one for the music version.
Yeah.
So if I don't have it on my hard drive and on my computer, I can go to that service and.
That's something you have to be hooked up to the internet to use, or can you download things to use on site?
I can download to use on site. I utilize a service where I can download music, and then drop it onto my hard drive. But the other service that I pay for $10 a month is I don't have to download it per se. I can just pull it down to play that song for that moment, or I can put it in my cache. It'll stay in the cache for a while. But yeah, it doesn't. I'm not actually downloading it in that respect. But yeah, that's and that was in 2011 when I got that. and then I upgraded to a bigger hard drive, a bigger laptop in 2013, and yeah, that's the one I'm still. I'm using that one. I might need to upgrade that one, but it's still. I mean, I have a terabyte of room.
Yeah, you can do a lot with a terabyte.
I got a terabyte on my hard drive, and so it's got a lot of room for the music and everything else, and it still runs the program fine. So there's no real need to. It was a fairly high end computer I got, so it had room to grow.
That's what always scares me about the computers. I mean, I'm so far removed from this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the idea of a computer crashing in the middle of a party or something.
I can tell you this. Now, this did happen to me. It wasn't necessarily a crash, but it was an update.
Yeah.
I was doing a party for, it was, where was I? I was at an outdoor event. It was for Penn Trafford Middle School, which is, I'm kind of an unofficial DJ for those guys too, by the way. They call me up every time they do a middle school dance now. But I was doing this gig outside. I'm playing music. I'm doing my thing. I was away from the computer. And, if you know Microsoft, they will update. If you don't update by a certain time, they just do it for you.
Yeah.
And I was doing my thing. I'm dancing. All of a sudden, the music cuts. What the hell happened? I go running back over to my computer, and there it is updating. I'm like, son of a, you know what I just, I was so mad. But, and then I try to figure out how to get out of the update, or I do have to let the thing hold, So now, anytime before I do a gig, I start my computer to see if there's an update waiting. So that way I'll do it before the event, so it doesn't do that again. But
so how did you handle that in the moment? Like, how long did that even take to?
Oh, it took a few minutes. It took me over 5, and I just said, talk among yourselves.
Yeah, sorry, folks.
Man, I kind of played it off, and they were all understanding. I said, look, if my computer's updating, they all knew what that meant.
Yeah.
So it's not like it wasn't a real hard thing to describe. My computer decided to update right this minute, and I finally got out of that. I think I had to restart the computer to get out of the update.
Yeah.
And then once I restarted it, it went fine.
Yeah, it's just such a situation.
Yes, it was. But yeah, that's happened. That was the last time that happened. Then once in a while you get something, and then every once in a while you get like a moment of stupid. You set up everything, and you thinking, I can hear it in my headphones. Why is it not playing?
Yeah.
And the reason why is because you forgot to turn the volume up.
Yeah, just one of those knobs or one lever.
I did that a couple times too. I'm literally 10 minutes. Okay, that's connected. Why is this not playing? I can't figure. And it was a volume. Oh, you.
Just while we're on the subject there, do you have any stories that kind of stick out to you? That just,
Well, let me see. For example, I one time got booked for a divorce party.
Interesting.
Where they decided that he got a divorce and it finalized, and he said, I'm gonna have a party.
Yeah.
And he saw me, I forget, somewhere. Most likely it was somewhere, either at a club or at a wedding. That's most people where they see me.
Yeah.
And he said, I want you to have you come out to do my divorce party. Okay. Right. Another gig what I did one time where I did a gig where it was a swingers party.
Uh-huh.
And it was a club, I guess a group of people. They have these events every so often at different venues. And Digital Dave, you remember Digital Dave?
I remember Digital Dave.
Digital Dave, I guess he's done these over the years, and he couldn't do this one, so he called me. Mm-hmm. He said, "You want to?" I was like, "Sure, I'll do it." I would, and he said, "Well, now here's what to expect." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I went there, and sure enough, it was fun. I had a great time.
I was going to say, do you treat it like any different party?
Not really. It was just a regular party. I mean, these people are doing. Trust me, the behavior's not much different in the club.
Yeah.
It's just that it's understood. It's all really okay there, but. Other than that, though, we just did the same thing. I did the same thing that I did, as a club. other stories. Let me see. Well, when you become, if you become a DJ that people like, they recognize you outside of DJing.
Yeah.
There's been many times. It's a weird thing in a way. It's almost like, so I don't know how this is going to sound, but it's almost like being a celebrity in a way. In other words, I could be in a convenience store. I could be walking down the street. One time I was in a dentist's office. Mm-hmm. Are you Dolla Bill? Or they said, you're Dolla Bill, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. Or people come to me, yeah, how you doing? What's up? I'll be with my wife. We'd be like in the girls' Giant Eagle, let's say, yeah, how you been? Blah, 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 blah. They walk away. She goes, who was that? I think, I have no idea who that was. Yeah. And it's because they knew me from DJing. And like I said, I like to be personable. So I like to feel like I'm talking to, I want people to feel like I'm talking to them directly. Yeah. Or I'm communicating with them directly. So I think that carries over when they see me outside, mm-hmm. and they come up to me like, and I have no idea who they are half the time. But that's kind of fun though. Yeah. I say, I tell my wife, I give her a hard time. I say, look, I am a minor celebrity around here. So you just remember that, right? I'm a minor celebrity.
That's awesome. Again, this is tailored a lot to like younger people that would want to get into something like this. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for, like, say a teenager that just wanted to get started?
Yeah. Well, in fact, you did what they should probably do. If they're interested in doing what we're talking about and the music end of it, or like the DJ thing, look up companies that provide services to do weddings and stuff like that. And reach out to them and see if you can get them with one of those. Because they will teach you all the things you need to know in that area. They'll teach you the music, they'll teach you all the equipment and everything else, and then they'll start sending you on gigs. You can earn some money doing that. I mean, you can try to do it on your own, but why not go with someone who's established? They do all the legwork. All you're really doing is showing up, learning how to do it, and then they do the gigs. Yeah. And then you can you can learn the skills you're going to need at that point. And then from that point, you can actually go on if you want to, on your own, and do something from there. But I think that would be the most logical way to do it. Yeah. Or if you're in high school, maybe if you have access to equipment and software and things like that, you can start by doing, deciding to do your own school dances, let's say, for example. Yeah. That would be another, or even doing, stuff with charities and nonprofits. They are always looking for events when they need a DJ or something like that. And I would suggest that if you're going to charge for something like that, just go whatever budget they have. That's what I would suggest. Yeah. Because one of the things, that's the hardest thing. One of the hardest things to do is to, great, love to have you. How much you charge? And, you don't want to well, let's see, how much you got? You don't want to price yourself out of that gig, but you also want to, your time is worth money too. So, first I was I would give them a discount off my regular rate for nonprofits, but sometimes even that, depending on how small the nonprofit was, because that was even steep for some of them. Yeah. So I'd say to them, you know what, whatever your budget is, that's what I'll do it for.
Okay, I think that's a fair way to handle that situation. Yeah. And just while we're on the subject, once you went solo, how did you establish your price
brand?
Points?
Yeah. So, okay, yeah.
And again, you don't have to give numbers or anything.
No. So it was a matter of. Okay, so I found out through they didn't realize they gave me this information, but through Metro Mix, I learned what they were charging to do weddings. Mm. I didn't know that initially until.
How did you find that?
Oh, so here's what happened. At one point, they brought me in as a quote unquote partner. Mm-hmm. And really what they were looking for was somebody to answer the damn phones at Metro Mix.
There was quite a few partners over there, if I recall. So, there was at least 3 of them when I started.
So I said, okay. So I was doing, and they were giving me almost the administrative work. And that's the part that I'm really the worst at in everything. So I answered the phones and booked took all the information and gigs and stuff. But then I made a suggestion. I said, look, you should bring each DJ should have a copy of the contract with them when they go out on their gigs. Okay. And the reason the reason is because if there's a balance due, or if there's some kind of dispute over the price of whatever the event is, we could have the contract with us
And you just look right
and
at
say,
it.
look, this is the contract we signed, we all agreed to, and here's the numbers. And I said, if we don't have that, this it's your word against mine, that kind of thing. They said, oh, okay, that makes sense. So then they started providing us sheets with the contract agreements, and because back then, I would get paid for each gig. I get paid $100 for a wedding, and if they asked for me specifically, they threw in another 50.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. So I was getting paid $150 for a wedding. Now, when I first started, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
$150 for like 5 hours, 6 hours. That was better. You can't get that in part time anywhere.
Yeah, and it's a good time too.
And it's fun. I was having fun like Christmas. So, but then I started getting this contract. And I started looking. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
They were charging way 10 times the amount I was getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm the one doing that work. All they were doing was booking it and telling me where to go. I said, wait a minute. Well, that's not right.
Yeah.
So that's when I started making you know what? I can charge less than this. Make way more money than I'm making now.
And put it all on you.
And I get all of it. And
Yeah.
I get all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how I got started. So now me personally, I have a hard time with, I have a hard time with charging a lot of money. I just don't, because I know when we got married, we didn't have a lot of money. And so we had to budget everything, we didn't pay for everything. And so I can't, so to this day, I probably charge less than I should. But it's still a decent amount of money, though.
But you're making a living at it.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. That's where I make, it's enough to me, for my wife and I, we lived in Shadyside for the last, we lived in the late Shadyside. Well, she got that apartment in Shadyside back in early 90s, 91, because she was at the time in law school. She just graduated law school, actually. But she got a job working at Pitt at the law school. And then I'd done other jobs in the meantime, up to that before I started DJing.
Yeah.
But the DJing has been enough that actually I pay the rent in Shadyside. So we're talking rent now there's, $1,000 a month. And we're in an older part of it, so,
Yeah.
But the DJ can cover all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with some other things too. So,
Without overcharging people.
exactly.
Still,
Without overcharging. That's right. And I still charge, like I said, I still charge less than most DJs charge because I just can't bring myself to,
yeah.
I want people to afford what I can do.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes you that minor neighborhood celebrity.
That's right.
Let's see. I guess we go through the general beats of the day. Let's say you have, let's call it a wedding.
Yeah.
What is your, let's say you wake up when, and we'll go through from there.
The day of a wedding?
Day of a wedding.
So it's, the day of a wedding is actually pretty simple because I've already done, most of the work.
This is something you do like the night before or the week before?
Okay, so the
Yeah,
process,
let's
let me
do the whole-
walk through
the
that process. So the process is this. We get contacted by somebody that wants to book us for a wedding.
Okay.
Then they, my wife acts as that correspondence most of the time. So they either reach out to us either through my Dolla Bill Facebook page that I have, and then my wife Lorraine, she actually monitors that. So when a message comes in, she responds back and forth. Or they'll sometimes reach out to me specifically on my own Facebook page, or they'll call me or send me a text to my my personal cell phone.
Yeah.
But every time it happens, I always push it off to her because she's much better than I am with that. So she gathers the information, the date, and where and stuff like that. Then we set up a time when we want to meet with them. So we sit down, figure out that time. We meet with them, and then we gather their information. How many people in the bridal party? Do you have songs picked out for your, for the bridal, for your your first dance and all the? Is there going to be cutting of the cake, or there's not always cutting of the cake. There's something during the move to cupcakes. No, that's one thing.
Yeah, the whole cupcake.
Right. So, is there going to be a parent dance? So we go through all the details of the actual wedding. What's going to happen when we sit down with them, and then I make sure that I have all the songs that they want, and I create a folder for them on my computer.
Yeah.
And put their name on it, and then those are their songs. sometimes they have come back with changes and stuff. But the day of the wedding, basically, all I do.
you're done.
I got the bridal party, so I try to go over their names, a day or two before, so I don't completely mutilate them, And then the day of, I wake up. I tend not to schedule anything else that day. I don't even the weddings don't happen anywhere typically until like the evening, like starting at 5 or so. I don't like to do anything before. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm in the middle of doing something I have to stop because I got to go to a wedding. So I'll just Saturday typically, wake up. I may go over the names one more time, pack up the car, and everything fits in my trunk basically now. So my speakers are in the trunk, they're powered speakers. My speaker stands are in there. My wireless mic and my wires, they all fit in my trunk. I put my laptop and my computer stand in my back seat, and off I go.
How far in advance typically do they call and book you?
Cripes, I've had people book me, especially fairly recently. They've been booking me almost 2 years in advance.
Oh wow!
So I got for example, starting in 2017, I guess, I started getting people wanted me to be their DJ in 2019. This year. Last year, I got people started booking me for 2020. But generally they book me anywhere from. I've had last minute calls that's going to happen next month.
Okay.
But typically I'd say between 6 and 9 months out, they typically book me from their event, the day of the event, of their wedding. But I average about, I'd say 6 to 9 months out.
Okay, so that having a lot on the books already, I imagine that takes a little bit of the stress out of the job. It's like, oh, okay, I'm good for the next 2 years maybe.
Yeah, my wife, trust me, my wife knows that better than I do. Because literally, people call me up or they say, are you available? It's like, no idea. I'll get back to you. Or I can, at the moment, sometimes I can check my schedule. My wife puts it in our calendar and it shows up on my phone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'll look on the calendar, but sometimes she doesn't always put it in right away. But most of the time she does. So I'll look on the calendar. I'll say it looks like I am available. I always say it looks like I am available because I have to confirm.
It's a soft.
Yeah.
Right.
So then that's one of the things that my wife will tell me what we have coming up, and she gets frustrated with me sometimes. She goes, where are you going to be on Friday? I don't know. You tell me. So, but and she gets a little, you have this thing. Like, okay. She's always afraid I'm going to forget and not show up someplace.
Yeah.
I've never not done that, but I've never not showed up someplace.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's typically on the day of, and then we go out, do the event, and we have a great time. We have fun.
Okay, so let's say when does the wedding start versus when do you get there?
Okay, so we like to get there between 45 minutes to an hour before the actual start of the wedding. So, and typically weddings start at, let's say, 5, and that's usually cocktail hour, and then typically an hour after that is when the bridal party is announced in, and then after that, that's the official start of the actual festivities, after the bridal party is announced in, then they do their formalities. Sometimes they do the dollar dance, sometimes they don't. They're actually starting to get away from the dollar dance. They don't do it as much as they used to. And then they also, the card bouquet toss, that's now 50-50 now, even now. But whatever formalities they have, we'll go through all of them. So I'll introduce them in. Now they have a choice either to cut the cake before or after dinner. They can do the first dance before or after dinner. But once we start the formalities, like if we're going to do all those other ones, like dollar dance and card bouquet, I can do all that straight through.
Yeah.
And then that way they're out of the way. Mm-hmm. And then it gives us more time at the end to just dance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keep it simple.
Exactly. And that's typically, and then our typical weddings are usually 5 hours. So we go from 5 to 10 or 6 to 11 or whatever the case is. And then sometimes they go overtime, but most of the time it's within that 5-hour time frame, though.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
5 hours of work.
5 hours of work.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 of actual work. I mean, setting up. I don't charge for setting up or breaking down, of course. But you don't do that. I mean, but yeah, to set up once I pull in there and bring my equipment in, it takes me literally 10 minutes to put the speakers up, plug everything in, and get the computer up and running.
Yeah.
Doesn't take me that much, you know.
All right. I mean, I hate to cut it short because like it is what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe I'm cutting it short because I already know most of the little
You're right.
details.
Sure.
I'm trying to think what else you want to throw out there for someone who would be interested in getting into this.
One of the things, well, you know, like I said, to reach out to companies that do provide DJ services.
Well, yeah,
There's
always that. Yeah.
That would be because those people are almost always looking for some people to help DJ for them.
I get that. I'm kind of looking for like the little details.
Okay.
That like me or you can kind of be like, oh well, yeah, we've been through that.
Sure.
But like something to like a warning or here's a heads up about this or
okay, so
maybe some Bridezilla stuff.
Ooh, I've had one. Yeah, I could tell you one I'll tell you one Bridezilla story. I had this one couple, not couple. It was her. Where I mean, I should have known when one of the groomsmen dropped out and said, "Screw you! I will never tell you." Yeah. That should have been a sign that Mm-hmm. But this person was simply a control freak. I mean, just absolutely a control freak. And the thing of the matter is, it was weird. We wanted to meet with them, but they never sat down with us. And she said all this information to us, so we did the best we could to try to accommodate her and everything. We didn't get everything perfect, but it was a good wedding. You know, They made this big, huge deal. They wanted the dollar. I mean, during the dollar dance, they wanted the bride and groom polka, but they didn't know they didn't know the name of it. I said I got plenty of polkas, you know, but they wanted that specific one. Yeah. And I didn't know the name of it, and neither did they. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, so they're making this big hullabaloo about, well, how do you, and they're going on YouTube and they're trying to find it, and they couldn't figure out what the name of it was. So that didn't work out. I mean, I played polkas, and it worked out. When I introduced them in, they were, you know, they had this routine they wanted to do, and they gave me the songs they wanted, but they didn't tell me I had to play this much of it, cut it off, and then, because they had this dance routine that they never told us about. So I did what was logical. I played half of the song, played the next half of the other song, and after everything else was said and done, at the end of the thing, I felt a little bit bad about that, not having everything perfect. So I actually paid overtime for them and not charged them. I played almost an hour of overtime to kind of make up for the thing they didn't have right. They actually kicked us out because I was going to pay a full hour overtime, but they kicked us out before that happened. So I played another 48 minutes overtime. I got this a letter the next day. Was it the next day or 2 days later? First thing she did was thank me for my being punctual. I thought that was weird. Okay. Being punctual. And then she tore into me, just into this email.
That was it. It was the setup to...
Oh, she just said, you did this wrong, you did that, and you did that. I'm reading this thing. My blood is boiling at this point. Mm-hmm. I thought, you know what? I am not going to respond to this right now because I'm going to start. This will be, this would be a cursing-laced response if I respond to this right now. You know, I was filled with profanity, so I let it sit for a day or two. And then I said, okay, I'm going to answer each one of these accusations point by point. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I did. It took me, hours to go point by point to say, you said you wanted this, but here's what we did, and here's what you said you wanted, but you never told us this. I went all the way down the list. And no, because at the end, she was talking about, I want some kind of a refund back. Ooh. I was like, and I said at the end, I said, you know what? I did play 40 minutes overtime and didn't charge you for it. And I told her what the value of that was, what the dollar value was. I said, but I'm willing to listen to your case of making a case of getting some of a refund, but we're going to have to meet in person. Because we didn't meet at all before the wedding. Yeah. I said, we are not going to go, I will not go back and forth over email over this. We did this before, and this is where it ended up. We are going to meet in person, and we're going to hammer this out. Mm-hmm. She wrote back a day or two later saying, I can see where your confusion could have come from. Forget it. In essence.
It's holding my breath there.
Yeah, she dropped it at that point. But that was my one biggest Bridezilla situation. Another one that was second to that would be, I got there to this one wedding and I played. They had the ones they have, the control freaks really annoy me. But they had a specific list of songs they wanted to play. So I literally got all these songs off, and I played specifically from that list. I didn't deviate. This was during their like dinner.
Yeah.
And I played off that list. And then at the end of the night, everybody had fun. Everybody was talking about how fun they had and everything else. And they come over at the end, and like the parents of the bride and groom, they came over and they said, "No, this is great. You guys are great." See, they were a little drunk at this point.
Yeah.
This is great and everything else. So at one point, my wife and I, we were looking. Somebody asked for references, so we reached out to some of our old clients that we had. They said, would you mind giving us a good review or a good reference or whatever? We reached out to this one couple I just talked to about. Well, we didn't really like this. They didn't like that.
Yeah, really?
You said none of this today. None of this came out of nowhere for us. Mm-hmm. And they said, "Well, you didn't play the songs we asked for." Meanwhile, yes, I did. I got the list. Now with the computer, it's even really good because the computer tracks every song you played ever since you got the program. So ever since you started with the program, it tracks from the day you started using that program. You can go back on the date. It shows you every song you played. So they can't even use that one.
Yeah, here's the list.
Here it is. Here's the list. Every song I played that night. But so yeah, and you got to. Another thing you have to be prepared for is people wanting, if they request a song, they want it now.
Yeah.
They want you to many times cut the song off you're currently playing.
Oh yeah.
Because they want to hear their song now. They'll come up and they'll say, "Can you play? You have blah blah blah. Can you play this? Yes. Can you play it next? No. No. I will play it. Or they'll play. They go. Sometimes they'll ask for next. I said, give me a couple songs. Usually that works. But other times they'll say, or you're playing something right now. This song sucks. I don't even like this song. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you want to hear? I don't know. Just play something good.
Play something good. That's
play something good one. Okay, but what do you want to hear? I don't know. It's just, what? Okay. Or you get people something like, nobody's dancing in this. Meanwhile, there's just a dance floor out there.
Yeah.
I remember this one girl. She was a kid, so I give her. I excuse her for that. This one girl, she was like 15. I was doing it for 13. She was doing it for her friend who was on a 13-year-old birthday party or whatever. And I was playing this song, and they were dancing. They had some people out there dancing. It wasn't packed. It was a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
But there were some girls dancing. And the girl comes over and she goes, nobody likes this song. And I kind of turned around and said, well, you better go tell these people on the dance floor. Because they're under the impression that they're liking this song. Yeah. And she didn't quite know what to do with that, and I probably shouldn't have did. She was 13.
Oh, it's still funny.
But it is kind of, I couldn't resist that one. But other than that, you got to be, sometimes people will get rude with you, or...
Yeah, with a lot of drunks, you'll get
people,
a fair bit of...
But that doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't even happen every week. It happens, but it does happen. And you got to know... how to deal with them. You just say, look, can I play my song? Yeah. Can you play it next? I said, give me a couple songs, I'll get it off for you. Yeah. That usually works. Yeah. But other than that, it's because half the time I'm on the dance floor. That's the thing. When I DJ, I don't stand behind the DJ booth all night.
Yeah.
Half the time, this is a great song, and I go on the floor,
Yeah.
And I go out there dancing and stuff. So they have to catch me when I come back to the DJ booth.
Yeah, I guess that's the extra, safety net that you have.
Another key. Point of get on the dance floor and dance. That way they can't yell at you as much because you're dancing. So
yeah, it's a great piece of advice. All right, well, like I said, I definitely want to do a follow up about your your nonprofit stuff.
Okay,
it's
sure.
Fascinating to me because I don't know anything about that. And we've had a few nonprofits on the show that it's fascinating work to me, and I just love when people just like helping people.
Sure.
Or jobs that are fulfilling in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we revisit that, maybe I'll come up
Absolutely.
with some more DJ stuff to talk about. But
Okay.
I just end the show with these just random questions to just
okay.
like keep things light. And,
Sure.
Yeah, keep things going. So if you want to pass on any,
sure.
Feel free to pass.
Boxer briefs. Oh, no.
You have like an ideal breakfast, like anything you want.
Ooh. Ideal breakfast. Hmm. You know, I'll give you an example. One time, or my wife and I used every once in a while. We knew somebody that ran the manager of a hotel in South Hills. It was a Crown Plaza,
Yeah.
and we would. She'd give us a free room if it wasn't too busy. She'd give us a free room. Many times a big suite, and they threw in that free breakfast, and the breakfast was these custom made omelets with, you know, everything. Everything goes along with it. The bacon, I don't eat as much meat as I do, but you know, sausage, the toast, the fruit, and the omelets. These custom made something like that.
Yeah.
That would be. It'd be, let's say, omelets, eggs, you know, sausage, probably, you know, some kind of toast, and maybe some pancakes, and or anything.
The whole spread.
Oh man, yeah, that.
That's good stuff. And some of these too, they're unrelated to the work.
Sure.
These are just in general jobs. What's the best advice you ever got?
Don't quit.
Don't quit.
Be persistent. Don't take no. Many times, no, especially what I do. Many times, no means not right now.
Yeah. Okay.
They'll say no, but you can always go back to them a few months later, and maybe the situation has changed, or whatever the case is. And don't take it personal. That's another thing.
Yes.
They're not rejecting you as a person, because if they knew you, they love you, right? So it's a matter of don't take it personal. It's not. They're not rejecting you as a person. They may not be in the position to do what you're offering, or whatever the case is. So don't take it on a personal level.
I think that's a very good piece of advice.
Yeah.
I love that. What movie do you think you've seen the most?
Ooh. From beginning to end, or just
The most. It doesn't have. You don't have to finish it. Just if it's on, you're watching it.
Yeah. So okay, I'll answer that in 2 points. So
Okay.
the movie that I've sat through the most is probably when I was a kid, and I'm an older guy, but when Star Wars first came out, I went to go see that movie 11 times.
In the theater?
In the theater.
Wow. Yeah.
I was a kid. I'm like, this is great, you know. And I went to, you know, every time I got a chance, I went to see Star Wars. I got to the point I was starting to memorize dialogue, you know.
Yeah.
I got to the point I was that little kid going, may the force be with you, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, so other than that, movies that I've probably seen the most, and I've watched on a regular basis, is probably split between sci-fi is a big thing. So, The Matrix is one,
Okay.
and then on the lighter side, more like a comedy type thing would be probably Midnight Run. That movie cracks me
Midnight
up.
Run was just on the other day.
I know. I was beginning. I was going to watch it, but it was like, oh, come on, at 5 o'clock, I got to get to bed because I had a meeting the next day.
Yeah.
But it was at 4:30. I'm like, oh, I should watch this. It's at 5, and I'm on.
That's what I did. I watched like 20 minutes of it, but I was like, I have to watch it for a little bit.
Midnight Run is a great movie. I love that thing.
All right. What's your biggest fear?
Ooh. Biggest fear. I would have to say. I'd have to say my biggest fear is being not able to take care of myself. In other words, I've always been more of a, you know, I can do things. I really try not to take advantage or take for granted that I can do the things that I do on a physical level.
Yeah.
Not being able to, and that's I guess connected to being the freedom, you know, that's kind of all being, having to be dependent upon somebody else.
Yeah.
My fear is that I would get to a point in my life where I couldn't do things for myself anymore. I couldn't, let's say, drive myself around anymore because I got maybe too old and my eyesight's going and I can't, you know, do that. Or if I ever got into an accident, God forbid, and I couldn't, you know, I couldn't feed myself anymore. Because I've actually worked, when I was in college, I worked with people who were paraplegic and quadriplegics that couldn't do those things.
Yeah.
And that would be so hard for me, not being able to do things for myself.
Yeah, that's That's
that
a
would be
legit
probably
fear.
that would be my fear, and not being able to take care of myself, being completely dependent upon others.
Mm-hmm.
That would be probably my biggest fear.
Okay. Candy. Any candy in the world? What do you have?
Ooh, candy. I would have to say, Snickers.
Snickers?
Candy.
That's a good answer.
Candy. Snickers is probably my best candy. And that's the one I would. If I had to choose all the candy in the world that I could have, it'd be Snickers.
All right. Childhood hero.
Ooh, that would have been. It was a choice between when I was really young. It was Superman.
All right.
Quick story about that. When I was a kid, my 4 or 5 years old, my cousin, he's my dad's first cousin, so he was a lot older than me, but he's my second cousin. My first cousin was removed. Anyway, this is when we lived in California. I'm from California originally. This is when we lived in California, and of course, I was watching a lot of Superman cartoons back then, and I put on a bath towel. Mm-hmm. That was my cape. But when I had my bath towel on, you couldn't call me by my name.
Yeah.
My cousin says, "Hi, Billy." I'm not Billy. My mom. I don't remember doing this. My mom told me this. I'm not Billy. Oh, really? Who are you? I'm Superman. I'm Superman. So when I was young, it was Superman. When I got older, it was probably the Hulk.
Okay.
Because I actually started collecting Hulk comic books, and I still have them, actually. When I was about starting around 9 or 10 years old, I started collecting Hulk comic books. Hulk is my guy.
Nice. I like that. I like the good streamlined answer like that. What kind of soap do you use?
Oh, I use. It's called Wait, what is it called? Access. It comes from one of the direct sales companies that I work with.
Nice time for a plug.
How about that? The name of the company is called Melaleuca. They've been around since 1985. They manufacture and sell products that are environmentally friendly. They try to make packaging that is reduces waste and so on and so forth.
Nice.
And I've been ordering products from this company since 2002. So I've been using their product, and they have all kinds of like vitamins, and so everything we have virtually everything consumable we have in our home, in so far as like cleaning products, personal hygiene, like soap and deodorant, that kind of thing, that all comes from Melaleuca.
Okay, well, I usually skip over that question because I don't really get that good of answers, but I'm glad I stuck with it with you. If someone gave your 18-year-old self $1,000, what do you think you'd do with it?
Ooh, when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Well, see, that's a tricky question because I'm thinking 18. If I knew now what I knew then.
No, that's the second part of the question.
Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Fair enough. I would say if I was 18 and I got $1,000, I would spend it on probably on travel.
Good. That's a good answer. I don't usually get very good answers.
I would go on travel. Because, like I said, I'm not originally from Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I'm from the West Coast, and I have friends of mine in Washington State where I lived, and also my cousins. I have cousins in Washington too, but I also have cousins that are living in California, is where I was born. So I would take a trip. I would go somewhere with that money.
And now?
Now I would put that money into my company, and I would utilize that money because I'm now in the process of starting my own nonprofit organization, and I'm going to need some money for that. So I have some money put aside for that, but I got to collect that up. But if I had $1,000 now, that's you hand me a check today, $1,000 today. Tomorrow that nonprofit would be up and running. That's what I would have.
That's awesome. Great answers. Pet peeve in general.
Ooh, pet peeve. I try not to let it much bother me, but if I had to say a pet peeve, would be in a quote, I heard this quote before, and I think, yeah, that would probably bother me. People don't think.
Yeah.
People don't. I mean, they don't think through either what they're saying or what they're doing.
Can you give me an example of
So, okay. There are people in general that can hold two contradictory things in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Doing them at the same simultaneously, not knowing that they're being contradictory. Okay, I'll give you an example. Now we're going. I hope this isn't too political, but this isn't. But so I guess the quintessential example of that would be, this is back when Obama was still president, and this is when he was trying to implement the Affordable Care Act, and of course the Republicans were trying to say it was death panels and all this kind of stuff.
Remember that.
The quintessential picture of that, of not thinking, is somebody that was protesting against the Affordable Care Act, and they were holding up a sign, and they said, "Keep your government hands off my Medicare." What are you talking about?
Oh, brilliant.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
That cheeses me. That gives me the red ass to know. I can't tell you how much that annoys me. What do you think that is? I mean, just
Exactly.
now it's not like they don't have the intelligence to understand this. They just aren't thinking.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
didn't take a second to think about it before
If you
you
think
put
a second-
put it out into the world.
Yeah. I mean, and then it's just, that's it. But that picture is a quintessential example of something that just gets under my skin. I would try to debate folks. Ironically enough, most of my friends, in fact, are real conservatives. And but I kind of appreciate that, because I can actually, these are people that are conservative, but they're willing to talk to me.
Yeah.
And I can talk back and forth with them, and I can ask them questions, because that's the thing. I can ask them questions, and then I can actually, through questions, point out their contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of, yeah, I never thought about that. But, whoa, you should have, you dummy. But it's that kind of thing. I like the idea of being able to talk to folks that have these ideas that are contradictory, or that are counterintuitive, or that are against their best interests many times. But I can't watch it on TV, because I'm yelling at the TV. They can't hear me.
Yeah, exactly.
So the pet peeve is people not thinking through what they're either saying or what they're doing, because many times they're their own worst enemy in a lot of ways.
It's a good answer and a good example to back it up. Good stuff. What's something you wish you'd learned earlier?
How money worked.
Good answer. General tipping custom.
20%.
Good. Childhood celebrity crush.
Ooh. How far back in childhood are we talking?
Formidable years, Just
Formidable.
when you first started noticing.
When I first started noticing chicks?
Yeah.
Well, let me think. I would have to say, I found out very young, when I was like 3 years old, that I was a leg man.
Hmm?
And I found that out because my mom told me a story about when I was at a bowling alley and I was about 3 years old. Some woman, had a pair of shorty shorts on.
Mm-hmm.
And as a 3-year-old, you can get away with something like this. I went over and I started rubbing her legs. So I'd have to say, oh, she thought it was the cutest thing in the world, and I'm like, yeah, with my binky in my mouth, So I'd have to say, crushes would be, I'd say, now this is the first time I ever knew the name of a first porn star, I guess. And that had to be Ginger Lynn.
Ginger Lynn.
Oh my God, Ginger Lynn. Yeah, that was one I had a crush on. Yeah.
There we go. What's one thing you'd change about yourself?
I had to say, the one thing I had to change myself, well, maybe two things. One is, apparently I talk louder than I think I do. So I have a volume control syndrome, I guess. People always tell me, "Why are you always yelling?" I'm not yelling. For me, I don't sound
That's
like,
great for the job.
I-
You gotta be that guy.
you would think, right?
Yeah.
But I think people think I talk loud, and I don't think I do, but apparently I do. And so that's one. I think I wish I could hear myself as loud as everybody else hears me, so I can know not to talk as loud, even though I don't think I'm talking loud. Number one. That's number two. I'd have to say, I wish I could change the fact that when I don't understand something, I get frustrated.
I get that.
Because if something, meaning not to say that it's confusing to me per se, but it's, the frustration comes in like, how can you not get this?
Mm-hmm.
This is not rocket science. This is not something very simple. And I get frustrated when people don't get something very simple.
Right.
And I shouldn't get upset with them.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do get upset with them, Yeah,
I get that.
So.
What type of music do you like and why?
Ooh.
Especially good on you.
Yeah.
Being a DJ.
Yeah. I have a pretty big, as far as genres go, I like a lot of the genres because you have to as a DJ.
I figured I was going to get that out of you.
Yeah.
But like, you're alone in your car. There's no one around. What do you do? What do you go
Okay.
to?
So if I was alone in my car, it would be, wow. Huh. I can tell you what I do actually do. So we have satellite radio in our car.
Mm-hmm.
So we listen to a lot of, 70s, 80s, and 90s. But if I was listening to if I had to pick, every once in a while, say for example, every once in a while, I'll pick out a song it's probably an old R&B song that's relatively obscure, unless you know R&B, you may not know it. But I sometimes get lost into that. I would play Alexander O'Neal and maybe some old New Jack Swing or something like that, or we're talking about the old ballads, like I just saw something about Teddy Pendergrass on TV just
I saw that out there. I want to watch that.
I saw that. I happened to stumble across that and I watched it. I'm like, whoa! I remember all those songs, and I would do that sometimes. I come across a song and then I did that one time when I was DJing or I was downloading music for a wedding. And I'm here. Let me go listen to this song. I was like, oh man! And then like 3 hours later, I was thinking of all these songs that I hadn't heard in years, and I started doing that. So I'd say it would have to be old, or R&B, Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross, Freddie Jackson, Marvin Gaye type music. Yeah, I came across. For a great example is that. Time Life had a commercial on, and it was all those type of songs.
Yeah.
Triple Price. I said that probably would be the one that I would say my ultimate favorite. I'd have to say would be that.
Good stuff. What's something you're bad at?
Bad at? I'd say. Oh, there's a few things, but I
Just throw
I think
whatever comes to mind.
The thing I'm bad at is administrative work.
Okay, yeah, we covered that a little bit.
Oh, I hate it. Because I hate it. I can't stand it.
I'm the same way.
I can't stand it, so I'm bad at it.
Paperwork.
Exactly. Oh.
Do you have a sleep routine?
As in time?
Because you have like some weird hours sometimes. Do you have like a ritual before you go to bed?
Oh, my ritual basically is like usually I'm in front of the TV. I discovered YouTube, by the way, it comes on. You can get YouTube through. Cripes. I've learned a whole lot because of that. But I watch a lot of YouTube now. But now my routine is I go, after I do that, I take my vitamins from Maluka. There's a vitamin pack I take once in the morning, once before I go to bed, along with my medication I take. And then I brush my teeth, and then I go to bed. And then many times I fall asleep within a few minutes, but if I get excited about something on my mind or whatever, it rolls around in my head until I fall asleep. So,
all right.
Yeah,
that works.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
And we'll wrap this up. If you could do anything for a living, what would it be? Anything, even something like totally
off the wall.
Yeah.
If this was possible, the technology doesn't exist for this, but if it was possible, I think maybe this would maybe something that has to, maybe after I leave this earth and maybe my soul gets to do this.
Yep.
I want to travel the universe.
Okay.
I want to go to all these different things I hear astronomers theorize about. Now that we have these big telescopes that are in the sky, we know that there are other planets out there now. I'd love to see all that stuff firsthand.
So
all the
intergalactic space travel.
Oh my God, I'd be gone. I would not be here. That's why I watch a lot of the Star Trek and all those kind of space type movies. And finding the possibilities of even not just space, but just being able to explore there's a theory of where everything that can happen does happen.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what happened. I'd love to see what happened to there's an infinite number of me's out there that experience all these different things based on the decisions I made, and I make these decisions in this realm, but in other realms, I may have made a decision that took me in that direction. I like to see what happened. I like to go back and say, "Wow, what?"
Like a whole multiverse theory.
Multiverse, yes.
Multiverse,
I love to see all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the hopefully, maybe like I said, maybe that's something that's my idea of heaven. I mean, if I get to go to heaven, and I'm like standing in front of the pearly gates, like, when I get to see the rest of this joint, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's take a look around.
Let's take a look around, all right?
Perfect. That's a great place to go out.
Shoot.
I love it. Well, give yourself one more plug. Plug everything.
Sure.
Plug
Okay.
everything
So, my DJ Dolla Bill. If you want to go to Facebook, you'll see me DJ Dolla Bill, y'all. That's the actual. Mm-hmm. If you want to type that in Facebook, that's where I show up. My Twitter is DJ Dolla Bill 1. You can find me there. Then let me see. That's probably the best way to catch up with my. And my wife's number for if you want to book me,
Yeah.
is 412-969-6081. That's her phone number for booking me as a DJ. Her name is Lorraine. And then my other website, Dwell and Associates. It looks like Dwell. It looks like the word Dwell. DwellAssociates.com. You can go to that website and see the information there. There's a thing that'll pop up that you can join on our newsletter type thing, so I can mm-hmm. Send you stuff when I get stuff to send out. And then of course, especially if you're a nonprofit and you're looking to figure out new ways to earn, bring in more revenues for your nonprofit organization, definitely hit me up on the Dwell Associates, because we have some great ideas on how to do that and create sustainable, reliable revenues for your nonprofit. We can do that for you.
That's awesome. And I can attest, you're one of the best wedding DJs I've ever seen in my entire life. You're the best. Thanks for doing the show, man.
No, man, appreciate it. What's the name of the show?
It's called Take Me Through Your Day.
Okay. And it's a podcast, you said?
Yeah, it's a podcast.
When is this been broadcasting?
It's all over the place. Here, let me cut this off because we're done here.